Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike and T-Roy, very special episode today. We will, how are you, T?
I'm all right, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing all right. Yeah, a little earlier start than usual, but that's okay for us. Let me knock this out, and then we'll bring our guest in. Hey, when you support our sponsors, you support TDC, and we appreciate that more than you know. So if you're in the market for something new or pre-loved, or if you just want to sell your car, please give our friends at Zott a shot. They've been with us since the very beginning, and they love taking care of you. Get out there today and lease a new 22 Ford Bronco Sport, Big Bend all-wheel drive as low as $298 a month, or buy the damn thing with 1.9% financing for 72 months, or stop by Zott and lease a new 22 Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive as low as $282 a month, or buy this cheeky bastard for 1.9% financing for just 72 months. Finally, go lease a 22 Ford F-150 Super Crew XLT 4x4, $244 a month or lower. Yes, you could actually save another $20 to $50 a month if you qualify for a Ford private offer. Give Anthony or Gabara a call. See if you're eligible. Plus, you can buy this bad boy with 2.9% financing for just 72 months. Get deals, get details, and search Zott Ford's banging inventory at dealsinthed.com. And with that, why don't we bring in our guest for the day, T, Mr. David Landau. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good. Can you see me?
I can see you. You look handsome. Where are you?
I'm in my office.
Oh, nice. Nice. It looks
Yes.
like some kid stuff in there.
There is some kid stuff. There's some Nintendos and there's DVDs from back in the day.
Yeah.
Movie posters. There's me as a juggalo on the wall, as old dirty bastard. It's all exciting.
I love
stuff.
it. Are you and the little one into Legos?
We were. He's 8 now, so he's more into like
He
sports.
grew way
and
out
stuff.
of that.
Yeah,
You're gonna make me
you're
look
only
bad. Yeah. What's that?
Are you into Legos?
Oh my God! Like you can't imagine, dude. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
How much?
I went. What's that?
Why?
Well,
Great question.
so during the pandemic, I had shot out to Arizona. I needed to get my shit together. So I went out to Arizona, and my nephew is about your son's age. He's like 8 now.
Oh, good.
And
I'm
so,
just happy there's a child you know in this story.
yes, there is. And he was doing Legos. He was doing the Millennium Falcon, and I was a sucker. And I've got at the time, he's like 6, and he's correcting me every 2 seconds about how they go. But dude, I had so much fun doing this damn Lego that I couldn't stop. And so while I was off, I was in California for a year, and I just started buying Legos and doing them. And now I can't stop.
It's not a bad hobby. He loved him when he was a kid, though. I shouldn't say a kid. He is a kid, but when he started at like 3 or 4, he couldn't stop, and then eventually he just moved on to where once he had a tablet, it all became about playing Roblox with his friends. And then now I try to keep him off that, so he's more into sports. He's more into like baseball. He's in like a travel league and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So he's got all this skill that I don't have.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not living through him because I don't actually like sports very much. So I have to pretend I care.
That's
but I
funny.
I love playing baseball with him, actually. But
yeah,
I
that's
don't
fun.
I'm not good.
No, but you can hit a wiffle ball.
Yeah, well, we play with real balls. That's the thing. Like we really do. That's a weird sentence, but we do just. We have a baseball diamond right by our house, and we play with real. Like he does machine pitch. He does all that stuff.
Really?
He's about to go into kid pitch with real. It's real hard balls. It's just.
No
it's fun,
kidding.
dude. Like it reminds you of being a kid, where you just go out and you just try to hit it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And he actually wants me to like chuck it at him. Where when I was a kid, I didn't. I was afraid of it, and he really wants to play it. Like he's good. He's on a team. He tried out for it. It's
that's
weird,
awesome.
man. Because my brother had sports skills. My dad did, and I had none. Like my dad was our coach, and he hated me. He would put me in right field. He used to pretend I wasn't his son.
Oh no! Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I went through that with Marshall, who's my nephew, my brother's son, and my brother's really athletic, more so than me. I was all right at I could play, but not like my brother. And his kid at like 2 could rip a golf ball. and he had a beautiful swing and everything, and then all of a sudden he was just like, yeah, I'm not into it. And he's lost all that skill. It's really weird what they're into for a brief period and then what they're out of. Like, he's kind of shelved Legos now and started hitting baseballs in the backyard. It's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah. Golf's a good one. If I could be Tiger Woods' dad and just glue a club to his hand and just force him to be professional, I would. Just for the money. Because it turned out so well for Tiger financially. I mean, emotionally, he's a ruined, destroyed person. But but he's also been famous, I think, since wasn't he like 5 when you started seeing Tiger?
Yeah.
Like,
he did
appear,
what was the show he did when he was like 5 or 3? It was
some talk show. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, some famous.
It wasn't Carson. It was something else.
Yeah, but it was like Carson, and he came out there as like a 3-year-old or 5-year-old.
Less than that, maybe.
Yeah, he might have been less
it was
than
like
that.
2, I think.
Yeah.
He made the putt.
It's crazy. It sounds like kids today are way more competitive with school and sports than when we were younger. We just had like some guy was teaching us. You know, he was our soccer coach, but he didn't really teach us much. And, you know, it sounds like now these kids are playing year round and they're looking for scholarships at an early age. And I don't know. Yeah,
well, we just assumed there wasn't a future. And now that it seems like there's no future, they're trying for one, which is odd.
Yeah.
Because it's like you really should live in a moment, because I don't know what you think's going to happen that's positive, but all right. You go for it, son. Like, he's got straight A's. I never did. Never. Not even an 8.
Where did this kid come from? Are you sure he's your kid?
I've been curious at times, but he looks a lot like me.
Yeah.
I mean, not this mess, but if you put a picture of me as a child next to him, he looked like me as a child. He won't grow into this if he tries.
Yeah. Well, at least he's got some athletic prowess now. That's always good.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I've been talking to you off air for weeks, months, whatever, and boy, you've landed in the press. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, they say no press is bad press, but that was long before the internet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's exciting. I like when you have 800 shows doing podcasts about a podcast you're on.
Yeah, it's wild. I know. I feel almost bad reaching out to you because your phone's got to be blowing up and everybody's got to be asking you for comment, and it's difficult.
No, I don't care. It's what I do for a living. I mean, I've turned down pretty much most interviews because it's really just time. I'm just working on a new show. I just don't really have time.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to. I'm not going on like a bashing tour of anybody, and I've turned down most comments of recent questions that I've gotten. So It's been an interesting, it's been a run.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be interesting when the New York Post is reaching out to you for comment,
Yes, it is. I especially about topics. Watch me dodge these bullets.
Yeah, it's got to be hard, man. I know when people ask me like behind the scenes stuff with Drew and Mike or anything like that, it's like I mean, when you work with people for years on end, you have dirt, you know shit, and it's like I don't know how much I want to say here, Well,
there's so much like bro code and stuff that God, that sounds stupid. But there's stuff that I just believe in being friends where I've never said anything publicly that's bad about anybody.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I did was I had to protect my own show, and there was a reason why I left. I had to be honest about it.
Yeah.
So I went and I did a show where I, was just like, look, this is why I left, and I had a reason, and I didn't even divulge all the reasons. It was just my own, and that's that. I mean, that's really all it was, I didn't know that there was a lot of other stuff that was going to come tumbling out. But
was that the Michael Malice show you did?
Yes.
Is that was the first one, right, where you talked about Louder with Crowder and Steven and...
Yeah, that was really the only one, yeah. I mean, even when I did Anthony's show, we just kind of talked about whatever.
Yeah. How was that being back on Ant's show? You guys
it was great, dude.
Partners together. I watched it. It was awesome. He put that out outside the paywall. And so it was cool seeing you guys together. It's chemistry is obvious when you see it. you know?
Yeah, I love Anthony, man. People can say whatever they want about what happened or whatever, but the reality is I've never had a bad word to say about him, and it was fun. It was really fun to talk to him again, and I'm going to do it again.
Yeah,
it's been a weird couple of years, dude. It's just been a weird.
Yeah, in a good way.
Years.
I mean, you keep going up the ladder. You're doing theaters now. We should mention a Prison 10, which you did over a weekend at Ridley's in Royal Oak, our favorite club, and a prison10.com, numeric 10, or davelandau.com. You can get it there. Spend the $10 on a local guy, and it's so good, man. I think I've talked to you about it, but it's so funny. It had to be so much fun shooting that, and yeah.
It was. It was fun to shoot the second special. So,
do you want to explain that for the people that don't know?
It was originally. I don't know how to put it.
Well,
it was
okay.
It was. You could
so
explain it, and I'll just
one.
say, yeah, I shot a first one.
Yeah, and you ate shit on stage the whole time, so you couldn't release it. Was that how it went?
Yes, that's what happened. Yep, I ate buckets and buckets of shit. I was booed off stage. There was a trans children's rights group. they were very upset. It wasn't because of that. It was just the language.
Yeah.
No, it was just we had issues about who the material belonged to after it was shot.
That's got to be infuriating because it's like a band writing songs. It's like, this is our life. A comedian, there's nothing more personal than a comedian's material, and how anybody, let alone someone as big as Steven Crowder, could worry about that. Like, oh, this is my special.
Yeah, that was really my issue with it. It's my life story. It was something that I'd worked on, and putting it out on Mug Club would see way more views, and I was very aware of that. It was just I wasn't going to just hand it over, and it wasn't even. Here's the truth. The truth is, I was going to just hand it over, but the way that the treatment had gone over the last year made it so I wasn't.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that? Like,
I mean,
you don't
it was
have
just.
To, but
I mean, it's hard to explain, really. Like that, I'd put into. There was a contract issue that involved me having to kind of give up my stand-up career in order to be a part of the show and to then do a Friday show that I didn't really want to do, and there was no extra pay, and I was kind of being treated like I owed that because I was making more money for doing stand-up. But then, because I keep hearing this thing about how my dates were being promoted when I'm like, but that's so weird because I was there. And what would happen is if they were promoted, they would be promoted at the break when nobody's watching.
Oh.
So, right when you go to break, or right before the show, they would be taken out of the map. So they would just say, hey, we took out your plugs, and then the show would start, which is really, it makes you feel good. It makes you be like, oh, cool, I'm part of the team. Like,
boy, oh boy, man, I don't understand the upside to that. I don't get it.
It's dick swinging in a literal, no, not a literal. That's read the post.
I did. I won't ask you about his dick. Don't worry. But yeah,
I didn't comment on the post on that one. But he commented, so I would read his comment. He said that he did it as part of a sketch. So I guess yes. But part of that is I don't know what it was for. I mean, I guess there's anger on his side, anger on mine, and whatever it was. As we know, there was somebody in my family that I'm not going to really elaborate on who had an illness that I was worried could have been terminal, and that's what I was worried about at the time. And so the whole idea of like what he was going through, it's like, you can seriously kiss my ass. Yeah, that's how I feel about that one.
Yeah, that was one of those, like, you're going through some personal stuff, family stuff, which trumps everything. It just does. It takes precedent when. And
I understand he was too. It's just people don't understand the magnitude of mine because I'm not putting it out there. Yeah, and I'm not going to. But it's just that I don't want to. it's not that business, and I'm not the one who leaked any of those Ring camera things. Like, I don't want to. God, it's so shitty when you don't like. You're trying to figure out like what legally like you can say, because I don't want to trash the dude. I think it's sad that like I wouldn't want a fight being leaked of me and my spouse.
Yeah, no. I didn't know how to take that video, honestly. You're talking about the Ring camera, and I assume it was Steven's wife or family who put that out.
I believe so. I'm not clear on it either, to be 100% honest with you. I just know somebody put it out there.
And I get it. Relationships, husband and wife, nobody would want a camera in their private house, most intimate moments, having an argument, going off the rails at each other. Like, I get how you wouldn't want that out there. That being said, that whole like wifely duties thing, holy shit. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't.
No. We've all seen Gunsmoke. It sounded. Yeah, he was clearly upset.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I
don't know how to say. Yeah, I don't know. There's not.
Hey, you didn't put it out, Dave. You didn't leak that. Didn't. But I mean, it comes out, and it's. You know what the problem with being it?
It's why I don't have cameras in my home.
Right.
Smart.
Because that's clearly how I speak. It's how anyone talks to their.
Yeah. Well, I've got a Ring camera out front, and last year
I do too. Yeah.
I wiped out hard in the ice, like ate shit hard, and T came home, and I was like, oh fuck! It sends him a notification whenever the Ring thing goes off. And there I am on video just eating shit on the ice, and it's like, God, you got to be careful, man. These things are recording everything. It's constantly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we know all the people that take all of our Halloween candy, and so do our neighbors. Like, it's like, oh, it's that lady who lives right there who apparently doesn't know we all have Ring cameras. Yeah, we all have Ring cameras, but it's important to have it now. What's funny, though, is now that we all have cameras, you can't do anything with the footage, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
what
just
do you mean
an odd... Like, nobody does anything. Like, all you have to do is get alerts all day. Like, who's this guy who's peeking in my house at night and no responses? Like, it doesn't even matter. It's like, this guy's chasing my cat and no one gives a shit. Like, no one does anything.
It's gonna get to the point with like car alarms where you hear a car alarm go off. It's not like, oh, someone must be in danger. It's like, would someone shut that fucking thing off? I can hear it all the way down the block. It's
like Amber Alerts. You're not reading the description.
No.
That car could be next to you with a kid banging on the window, and you're just like, will this light turn green already?
Yeah, it seems like this light's taking forever. Shut up, kid.
Yeah. Why is that kid yelling? He spelled help backwards. He must be dyslexic.
Yeah, what a stupid kid. He's never going to get help writing like that.
Yeah, exactly. What a dumb kid.
Ever since everything came out, Dave, and I don't want to get into a shit talking session on Crowder, but have you talked to Steven?
I'm trying to avoid it, but no.
I know, and I can push it a little bit.
Every night at 6.
Have you talked to Steven or Gerald or any of those guys over there? No.
Have you talked to their attorneys?
Yeah, have you talked to their attorneys?
No, oddly enough, no. Well, I haven't said anything that's not true. I haven't. No, I haven't. I have not actually. But no, I haven't talked to. Well, I've talked to Gerald maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And then I haven't talked to Steven in, I don't know, since December probably. That wasn't on text.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was. But then I haven't talked to Gerald in about a month. And I don't hate anybody over there or anything. I like a lot of the people I worked with. I don't know who's left, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I just don't really watch much of the show. I see clips here and there. Yeah. I think that DePaulo's awesome, so it's cool that they have him coming in at 5:00 on Mug Club. And I still, that's the part, is like, I still think that if people enjoy it, they should watch it. I just don't think that would ever be extended towards me.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird dynamic in, I never thought, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, I never thought it was a great fit. You and Steven, I don't know why, but it seemed like it didn't showcase the best of Dave Landau. I think you're one of the funniest guys out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really mean that. And doing a show, it's that's his thing, and I got that feeling like, don't overshine Steven,
Well, that was the rant button, as I've been told.
Yeah.
It was called, or the don't talk light. Then it was changed to the rant button of when he would talk.
That's almost unbelievable that you would have a show.
Dude, a lot of it is, yeah. A lot of the stuff, and the stuff that I've held back and stuff, it wasn't. That's the weird part. Is I don't think that it was. It's weird to have people say, like, I've seen comments online where it's like, oh, you nodded off, you were lazy, you didn't want to go to work on time. And I guess you can probably explain this more as a radio producer, where it's like,
yeah.
No, you have to understand, I'm talent. It's not a 9-to-5 job.
Nope.
See, I'm working all the time. If you text me at 11 and I write until 2, I might come in at a certain time. There's not set times to be there for me. And the fact that you would all of a sudden have set times and try to hold me to them and still try to make me work all the time, and you're while maintaining a family, that's what bothered me, I guess, kind of so much about it. But it's hard to explain that to people that aren't in the business. They're just like,
yeah,
I got up and went to work today. It's like, did you go to work after work then?
Yeah.
Did you also work all weekend? Did you do that too?
You know what? It's funny because it's not like a normal job. It's hard to, and I've struggled, Dave, to explain that to people, because they go, oh yeah, you guys were done at 10 a.m. And it's like, well, sort of. We were off the air at 10 a.m. That doesn't mean we weren't there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon recording stuff for the next day or the next week.
Right.
And it also doesn't mean that when I go home, your day starts, like maybe you eat and then prime time shows up and you're watching whatever for the next day's show. And that'll take you to midnight when you go to bed. And then you do it all. It's like it literally doesn't end. You're kind of on a forever job. And it's fun, but
it is, but you never turn it off. And it's also, yeah, you're right. And I mean, for a lot of the stuff that I do with stand-up and everything, I realize it's dark, but it is depressing. And you're going through some stuff that's pretty vile and dealing with stuff. And it wasn't my opinion a lot of the time necessarily, which is fine. It's his show. He's getting his message out there. But I don't necessarily want to do, 100 shows about trans kids' bottom surgery, where I'm like, no, I think we can agree that kids mutilating their genitals are bad. Let's talk about anything else.
In defense of Steven, David, I find myself struggling with this too. People have to tell me, like, all right, and so I have to listen to people and go, all right, you know what? Let's get on to some other topics. It does.
No, I do the same.
It does sound crazy, but I'm like looking at a bunch of stories and it's like, oh my God, the trans community again. What's going on with these people? And it's hard not to fall into that. But I could make the argument. I did the same thing when the plane crashed, and I covered it for months. And it's like, all right, we get it. A plane fucking crashed, but it's tough. I get it. But what I don't,
it's difficult to explain.
What I don't understand though is, and maybe I'm just really lucky, and I think you were really fortunate with Anthony Cumia too. But I can say this about Drew and Mike, in that Drew's motto and his feeling was, if it's funny and it's on my show, I get credit. My name's on the marquee. So I don't give a shit if it's an intern, if it's one of my producers, if it's a listener calling in. I don't care. Just hit it out of the park and I get all the credit for it. And that just seems so simple, like such an obvious way to do it.
That's what Opie and Anthony was, and when I joined Artie and Anthony, that's what that was. It didn't matter who the guest was, and the reason why that show was, such a giant success was it was that same recipe. Was they had on all these brilliant comedians, and it's like you could sit back and just listen to Patrice O'Neill and Jim Norton and Boss and Bobby Kelly and Colin Quinn rip each other apart.
Yeah.
And really, Anthony could just say 2 or 3 words, and everything Anthony said was funny and perfect. And you would remember those 2 or 3 words for the rest of the day because he only needed to say a couple things. Yeah. And, Opie could kind of get in there and just figure out where to take it if something was going on too far. And it always worked. Like, they knew how to work their show. And that's what was incredible about it, was they knew how to make other talent shine. Carson knew how to make other talent shine. Letterman knew how to make other talent shine. Like Norm Macdonald stole the show every time he was on Letterman. Letterman wasn't insecure about it, but for some reason, the idea of like I'm the star always, like I must, I'm the sun and everyone revolves around me. Yeah. Literal quote is sort of it's just it's an odd thing because it's like I know you are though. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
is to throw that to you because I don't want to be the star of it. I'm just the guy who makes comments on the side and I know my position. But why do you want me to drown? Why do you want to drown out my position? Why am I here? And why, that can just sound. It sounds. I don't want it to sound bitchy though. That's why when I left, I didn't say anything until I was asked so many times that I just wanted to say, look, this contract, it was offensive to me because it was given to me at a time that was completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
And that's why I left. And I couldn't let it go. It didn't matter how much money I made on the road. It didn't. And regardless of what people say about when stuff was promoted, it wasn't. They took down slides that said the dates on them. I watched numbers dwindle. I was standing in malls where people would say like, oh, you're here this week? It got to the point where it affected me to where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. If you don't have mutual respect for me as a friend and mutual respect for me as a colleague, there's no reason for me to stay. And that's why I left. And if people can't accept that and they don't believe it, that's fine too. But the reality is I'm not the one going online and Twitter attacking his personal life the way that a lot of people did.
Yeah.
That's nothing that I did. And that's why I don't wish to. Like, that's not my business. But when something was very personal to me, it was attacked. And that's why I left.
Yeah.
Like, that's as blunt as I can be.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I know you were going through stuff. You had your own issues going on, family related, that, as I said earlier, always takes precedent. And that's when this contract you speak of was delivered. And it was like, oh, by the way, Dave, you need to move your family to Texas, too. And
I said, I can't for that reason. And it was the first reason why I couldn't anyway. But, I mean, it became other reasons along the lines of, like, we're not really getting along.
Yeah.
And that's a large part of it is, like, I can't really do that when there's a lot of – and it's also – I understand that I am making money on the road, but there's no promise of that always happening. There's no, like, having, I'd like to say 1 good year, but that's not true. I'd say 6 really amazing months of income doesn't mean shit. I wish it did.
Yeah. Well, but I don't understand what is like, I'm trying to even figure out in my head, what is the argument to not, like, he would plug the, what Rebel with a Cause tour that you and he were on. And what do you know? He's the marquee name. He's you would think 100%. The draw, yet you're the headliner. That tells you
he headlined a lot of them as well. He headlined a lot of them on the back end once we were doing them together for sure.
Did he?
So he did. Towards the end he was doing them. But definitely in the beginning, it was a couple of shows where it was a 50-50, and then obviously the split went largely, like a large line share to him, which is fine. Look, he's the draw. It's his show. Truthfully, he could have done a lot worse if he really wanted to. I mean, I know plenty of headliners that would have taken – not that it's – I mean, it is a dual headliner show, and I've been doing it for 20 years, and it's more he's getting back into it regardless of what you want to play it as, but they're there to see him. I get it.
No, I get
have a lot
that
of people
too.
there to see me. I'm not going to take it away from him. It's just a lot of people were there to see both of us. That was part of the reality as well. And to look at it as something where you're being treated like you didn't earn it and, you're lucky to be on the ride, which I already felt. But then when you're being forced to sort of feel that way, it just you feel like you just feel I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just sort of this thing where you show up and it's like, oh, just make sure Dave's told what to do, talk down to, his time's limited, keep it clean, blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a headliner. I've been doing this a long time. Please don't ever tell me what to do on stage. Ever.
Isn't that the worst?
For any fucking reason ever again.
Yeah. No, that's something that's hard for people to understand too, because lots of people go to a job and there are restrictions about what you do at work and how you behave. But when you're an artist, when you're on a stage, on a microphone, like, dude, You are so vulnerable. That is your world. And I don't know why it's so offensive when people are like, you shouldn't talk about this. It's like, yeah, how about you go fuck yourself? How about that? How about I worry about what I'm going to say and you don't worry about it?
And it's hard because you're saying like, okay, so, and you see so many different arguments where, but it's this free speech absolutist, but then other people going, but he's Christian, and there's other people saying this, and it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, let's talk about humor and let's just talk about bottom line stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's where it ends.
And that's where I leave it. That's where I think stand-up comedy is. That's how I feel. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not for you. Maybe you don't like what I have to say. But that's where it is. And I mean, my stand-up comedy is not dirty. It's honest, but it's not dirty. Like, I'm not up there like, like, so I'll figure this girl, like, I'm not trying to be like a frat guy. Like, come on, everybody, tits. Like, it's just not what I do.
No.
So there's no reason to be like, Dave, could you not talk about taking your son to the graveyard to see your dad in a humorous way? Like, what am I saying that's so offensive?
Yeah, right, right.
Like, that it's like, you got to take that out. The audience's Christian ears could never handle it. It's like, I believe in God. There's nothing I'm going to stand there. What am I going to do, scold the audience for having a higher power? That's not what I do.
Plus, the audience will tell you if it's acceptable or not. I mean, I've been to a dozen of your shows. Yeah, the reaction is all you're going for. And if they all stand up and walk out or boo you en masse, well, maybe you should take that into account going next time. Like, well, whatever I did, I pissed off the whole crowd. But I've never seen that. I've seen a bunch of standing ovations, but I've never seen.
Right.
Yeah. And
if
that's all you're looking for.
Walk out, I say good riddance.
Beat it, you. Well, no, I mean, just not to beat a dead horse, but I can't wrap my head around, what, Steven Crowder, like, okay, so you're not going to mention Dave's shows. Like, he's in wherever all weekend long. Why would you not? What is the goal? What is the end game if you play that out? Like, to not sell it out?
Well, that's what it was. The goal was to have me give up Fridays because that was always a point of tension. And the reason why at the time I needed those was personal issues. Uh-huh. And I understand both. Look, I understand maybe that's how he sees it and wants me to be there and work certain Saturdays, and he's dealing with my agent and doing all this other stuff. But at the time, it was not something that was feasible for me. So it's like, okay, you're not going to promote these things. That's fine. Or you're promoting them at the end where, it's being tuned out or whatever it is. I'm shocked by the number of people that are like, I went back and watched every episode and you were promoted every time. And I'm like, did you? Like, first of all, you didn't. And secondly, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you say that? Like, why would you even do that? It's crazy. But
that had to be weird for you because
though.
But wasn't that weird to you? Like, what the hell's going on here? Because I mean, Anthony would promote your shit.
Yeah,
Anthony put your name on the marquee.
Kneecapping you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was weird. But it was an element of control or getting what you want through strong arming, I guess, a bit of a business practice. It sucked because you have all these elements to play in where it's hard to explain how I can put it, but you're trying to promote something that you want to do because fans want to see you live. And I like to stand there and meet everybody, and I try to be gracious with the fans.
Sure.
And so I go out, then it's not being promoted, so you have people show up, and then you have this half-filled club who they don't even know are there. And then if you do promote it, it's packed. Yeah. Which is proof. I mean, he has a power. There's no doubt about it. He has a lot of fans. And so it's just a matter of the proof was there. So if he was in a good mood and he promoted me, it worked. It would be standing room only, Yeah. But it was to prove himself to me, I think, in a way of what his power was and his reach was, which I knew the whole time. I know right now when I'm talking to you. Yeah. And to stand there and have it sort of, I'll taketh away when you're standing there, it just, you don't care anymore because there's no feeling like being dicked around by somebody who has power and they're trying to show it to you. it's a very dehumanizing feeling, and you just go, all right, well, I just don't want to do this anymore. And honestly, it was really, really hard for me not to go back, because you have to go, okay, well, this is guaranteed comfort financially for a long time, but I didn't. But my whole goal in life has always been comedy, sketch show, and that's what I'm able to do now. Yeah. And that's what I was doing then, and so I left.
Well, we've talked about
it wasn't in hate, though. It's just I'm done, man. Like,
it's
I don't
want to.
And like you said, I'm not and even though I'm going on to the Blaze, like I've always said, I'm not this extreme right wing guy, and I've never hid that. I never hid it on that show. I've never hid it before. I've always been pretty moderate. Yeah. It's just right now the left is sort of the cultural narrative, and the lockdowns and everything really piss me off.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was commendable the way you were like, no, I'm not doing shows if you're demanding vax cards. You know, you were early in that, and that was a risk. I mean, you guys took some heat for that.
Well, I just didn't see the point. I mean, I don't understand. I grew up my mom was like, you know, a nurse and bipolar and everything. Like, I grew up I'm very like, dude, I'm already germophobic. Yeah. So the idea that anybody was like, you got to get this vaccine, that seemed very early and it was being politicized, it made no sense to me. And then when I was traveling every weekend through the whole pandemic to do Anthony's show from his house, people were like, how could you be flying at a time like this? I'm like, when no one's on the plane and everybody's wearing masks. The airports have never been cleaner. I'm like, it's the nicest time I've ever flown on an airplane. Like, there's no cleaner time to be outside.
And they were clear about it too. I mean, people didn't want to. They were going to believe what they wanted, but the airlines were very clear about. Honestly, this is literally the cleanest place you can be. Like, this is. Well, yeah. You know, and you could believe that or not.
New cleaning air that went through. What the hell's like, dude? It's absurd. I lived in New York. There, you know how much. It was I lived in Harlem. Like, I used to just like walk outside and just see like people washing their balls in a fucking fire hydrant with a dead rat. And then they're like, you might get COVID if you ride the train. I'm like, I don't really think that's a problem. There's human feces. Like, I would have to play human feces or hopscotch with human feces just to get anywhere in New York at the time. Yeah. And it's like, you're going to tell me that I should be worried about a new flu thing? Yeah. It never bothered me. And then I watched friends lose businesses and restaurants and all. Like, it was all just, dude, it was bullshit. And now they're coming out and saying it was bullshit.
Yeah. No repercussions, though. Me. Yeah. It bothered a lot of us. And the worst part, too, was people like us that bitched about it or pushed back on that were told that we were monsters. Like, we're killing grandmas everywhere. And it's like, when did you guys all turn into such pussies?
Well, what a weird group to pick. They're like, why are all these old people dying? You're like, I don't know. They're old. Like, what an odd group to pick. Like, why are the elders amongst us passing away? That's quite a mystery. I don't know. Let me know when you get to the bottom of it. Why 90-year-olds keep dying?
Exactly. They've already won. They're on house money anyways. The average life expectancy is like 74. You're worried about Nana at 88. You're like, she's been on house money for 15 years.
It's just a plot to reel in Social Security.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. My Nana died at 96, and for 20 years she was like, I just want to die. And she was the nicest, sweetest lady in the world. But when my grandpa died, she's like, I have no purpose. Yep. So like I'd pick her up, and she, my aunt would be like, don't take her to Red Lobster and get her Cheddar Bay biscuits, or don't do this, don't do, like, don't take her wherever she tells you to go. Don't go to McDonald's. I'm like, nah, I would never. And then I would drive her immediately to whatever restaurant she wanted to go to.
Hell yeah.
Against doctor's orders, and get her whatever she wanted to eat. Because it's like, she didn't want to sit there eating like steamed broccoli, because it's like, oh, I get to sit here and just eat something I hate while I slowly wait for death to come and take me home.
Dude, there was a story a few years ago, and it horrifies me to this day. But it was a woman, and the reason it was newsworthy is because she's one of the oldest people ever. She's like 102 or 103 years old, and she's in a home, and the news story was they had just taken away from her 2 cigarettes a day. And I'm like, Why? Why would you? She has one cigarette in the morning and then one at night. And they were like, that's not good for your health. I'm like, she's a $1.02. Who gives a shit? That seems,
seriously?
I swear to God, isn't that a horrible story?
They should just give her a carton and let her smoke like she's a teen that's being punished by their father. Just one after the other.
Hey,
why would you care? Like, listen, we don't want you to get lung cancer. You might make it to 104.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah. Oh.
She's got a touch of emphysema coming on. We got to be careful and pull this back a bit. You're like, no.
What if you're 102 smoking? What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to find out cigarettes are good for you.
Yeah, right. Turns out she's been smoking since she was 8.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we were way off on this.
It staved off cancer. It's incredible.
It makes the lungs stronger. It's why the Rat Pack could all sing until they were like 90.
Yeah, exactly.
Dino's,
it's like that one glass of wine a day. Good for you.
Yeah, the one glass of wine a day. This was her 2 smokes a day or whatever.
Right.
It's like, come on.
Build that immune system.
It's hard for people to
matter.
To this day, and I swear to God, I was reading comments on it, and everyone, it was the only thing that brought this country together. Everyone was like, what the fuck? Why would you take her 2 cigarettes away? She's 102.
Well, when I was a kid and my dad was in the hospital, this was the 90s though, but there was still the whole smoking section. So like every doctor and nurse was outside smoking.
Yeah.
And now when you go to a hospital, it's like, please don't be, it's like cigarettes or pedophiles. It's like, please be 100 yards away from the hospital if you have a cigarette. It's like, this is oxygen. Like, what is the problem with being, if you're like 5 feet from the hospital, who are you going to hurt with a cigarette? Like, a guy's got an axe in his head, and it's like, excuse me, there's somebody outside having a cigarette. If you could go ahead and stop that. It's all so stupid. It's like, we've made things a villain that aren't a villain.
Yes. And it's the easiest thing to shame. Like it's one of the last things you can literally scoff at, and nobody has a problem with it. It's like, just leave him alone. He's not bothering anyone. He's 20 feet from the front door. You'll live, but these people that walk by and wave and, Well,
that's what I loved about every Detroit law too for downtown Detroit was like, make sure you're like whatever feet from the front door. And you're like, so in the street, in the busy street.
Yeah.
Make sure you're standing in Woodward. Yeah. Safely standing there having a cigarette while Comerica empties.
Oh, it's so funny. Hey, today for the first time,
wear
Dave,
a mask.
Sorry. I got my mask on, my homemade mask. We're all good now.
I made it. It's made of cloth.
Yeah, dude. But I knew actual doctors that had fallen for that, and were playing the mask game. Like, we've got a buddy that's a virologist, and he was all about it. And we're just like, bro, stop it, stop acting like.
Did he admit it?
No. Those people are too smart for their own good. They can't admit it, and they never will. Never.
There's so many that have come out and just said how it's nonsense. And also, if you keep touching something with your dirty hands, hence wash your hands, and then sticking it on your face like your hands, it actually is not of a benefit to you.
Well, Dave, that surgeons take a class on how to wear a mask, like how to soap up properly and scrub for a certain amount of time, and then have the mask put on, never touch it again. Like, there's a class they take to do that. And now we're just supposed to, our 5-year-old's just going to throw on a mask, and boy, he's protected. It was just so silly.
Oh, you shouldn't hang it from your F-150 mirror with 30 other masks while you vape into it and do plumbing.
Dude, I laughed so hard. I want to talk about Normal World and Blaze TV and stuff. That first episode you did with Normal World is so goddamn funny, man. The only thing I'd compare it to, I think Shane Gillis is doing some great stuff in sketch comedy right now. Like, best thing ever for him was getting bounced from Saturday Night Live. Like, his show's great with, is it Gillian? What's that?
Gillian Keeves.
Gillian Keeves. Gillian Keeves is great. I think your show's even better.
Thank you, man.
I think Normal World is so good for what we see coming off as comedy in network television right now is so embarrassingly bad. And having this show on the internet, and today, one of my favorite things too is gag reels and bloopers. And you guys put out a blooper reel of the first episode of Normal World.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I broke a lot because I find everything funny. And especially when you just have Keegan in it leaning in and being like, how old are your children? Like, I don't know why, to me, that was just so creepy and funny. But no, I'm excited about it, man. Like, Shane Gillis is great. And he was at Compound when I was there doing a fair one.
Okay.
Which I took over for him after he got canceled. We have a video where I can't remember what we watched. It wasn't a birth, but it was... man, I got to find the video. It was the most disgusting video I've ever seen, and Tommy and Shane brought me on to watch it, and I've blacked it out of my mind because it was.
What was it? You said a birth, but it wasn't a birth. Like
it wasn't a birth. It was something horrible. I don't. It was probably sexual in nature.
Sure.
I really don't remember it because I still see the video. Like people will use the freeze frame of me like looking like I'm gonna vomit. But. Yeah, I have a pretty good stomach, and that was so troubling. But Shane could, Shane was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch this video. It's gonna be great." And I went and did Rogan's Club like 2 weeks ago. I went to the Mothership.
The Mothership. I wanted to ask you about that.
Dude, it's phenomenal, and it's meant for comics. And I went in there, and I'm kind of like looking around, and the guy who booked me was Norm Macdonald's old co-host on Netflix, and I asked
what's
him,
his name? What's his name?
Adam Egan.
Oh, from the store in L.A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked him, I'm like kind of looking around. I'm like, I was worried. You're in Austin. You're like, is it kind of liberal? It's like, it's Rogan fans. You say really whatever you want. And dude, you could. It was amazing. It was like what comedy's meant to be. So you just go on stage and do whatever you want. Yeah.
That was just last week or so you were there. 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, like it was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, like a week and a half ago. And I was going to go back this week, but I couldn't. I'm hoping to do it again next week. I just wanted to, because I'm in Texas. But that was cool. But it's like I like the idea that a lot of people are just doing this sort of outside of the Hollywood system, and that's what Shane did. Is Shane got kicked out. Shane got kicked off of SNL at the right time.
Yep.
Dream, without a doubt, but it sort of just kind of died. And the sad part is he got picked to do it. But some guy who did bird call noises, he said a slur on a show when he was talking about Asians. He was doing a character, and he got
very good. He was doing an Asian character.
Yeah, and he got he got canceled for it by a guy that does bird calls, which I'm sure that guy probably loves seeing that he's like on the border of selling out arenas now, where it's like, do you wish you were quiet and he was just a featured player on SNL?
Yeah.
It's like,
who took his spot?
Skyrocketed.
Bowen.
Who?
Bowen Yang.
The
right?
Asian guy?
Yeah.
Was it the Asian guy that took over for him?
No, him and Bowen got it at the same time, and that's why he was able to do it. Was the guy was able to get him canceled because it's like, oh, you're going to have your first Asian on the show, an Asian gay man, and you're going to also have a guy who's a racist. That's what it was.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Nobody else looked at the fact that the show had been on for half a century and they were having their first Asian. Like, that wasn't the problem.
Bowen Yang, by the way, I would have had no idea that he was Asian or gay. I mean, he doesn't he doesn't just do that character exclusively.
Typecast.
Holy shit.
No. He's a wide variety. He's he's like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He disappears into the character.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Man, he's the Daniel Day-Lewis of comedy. So, but yeah, this show we're doing is all sketch show, which is I started making it when I was at Louder with Crowder because he had kind of shut down the sketch department. He did. So I started finding my own sketch show because I was brought there to make sketches.
Yeah, I want to work on it. I want to work on it.
Yeah, I want you on it. Yeah, I want you to do a show. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd love to.
I'm serious. Yeah.
Yep, so am I. No. Dude, as soon as I saw it, I was like, it reminded me of the Cliff Notes theaters that Drew would write, and there's times when I'd help, one-liners here or there and kicking around the room ideas. It's great and so loose, fun, and I know how you are. I think it's one of the best shows out there for, it's getting really well received. But, we talked about it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's starting to pick up, which it was doing well for quite a while. And then I started pitching it around, and I went to the Blaze and I said, I left the other show. I wanted to really just focus on this. They loved it, and they're giving me a chance with it, and we're putting it together. It was me, my friend Ken, my friend Bryce, they're both from Michigan. It's all Michigan guys. My friend Matt McClowry is from Michigan as well, who's a stand-up comic. Yep. And our friend Angela that produced it, and we're all coming back to do it, and it's dude, I'm really excited about it. Like, it's the first thing I've been happy about in a long time that I'm really looking forward to, because it's really taking a risk, and I'm trying to do stuff where I think the problem is a lot of the time in the right, we don't punch ourselves enough, and we're always hitting the other, like, that sort of own the left comedy, which I don't think is necessarily very good. So, and the own the right comedy, which is every channel you get anyway, is obviously not very good. So you have to find, I really think, there's a few good examples of people who do it well. Shane Gillis, Ryan Long, Tyler Fisher. There's a few people out there, but there's not a ton. And that's what I want to really put on display, is like, funny should just be funny. That's what I was saying earlier. There's nothing else to it than that. Like, there's no reason why you should ever stop and correct yourself and go, who is this comedy for, though? And who is it deliberately offending? I don't want to do any of that stuff. No. I just want it to be funny, and if it offends you, I don't care.
I think Quarter Black is hilarious, too.
He's great, dude. That's the best part. He's my co-host, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. I don't know how, he was obviously part of the Louder with Crowder show for quite a while. I don't know how he and Steven are doing now. I can't imagine Steven's thrilled with Quarter Black doing the sketch show with you.
No, I think they get along, though. I wouldn't say they don't. Yeah, I think they get along just fine. As far as I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I don't know for sure, but I haven't heard any. I know that he's been attacked a little bit, but he's also been supported way more.
Yeah, seeing him crack during the is it Manpax, the Tampax?
Manpax
Pearl Harbor is so great, by the way.
Yes, thank you. It had to be manly.
Yeah. And dude,
sea of blood.
I think it's him just hitting your dick with the soaked in red blood. Oh my God. I was watching the outtakes today. I was laughing my ass off.
Just stuff it down your dick hole against God's will. Is it safe and easy to use? One of those things.
Things.
I just love wordplay, and I don't know, commercial parody is so fun to me, man. Like, I'm doing a Barbie one right now, and no, it's not about that Barbie, but I'm making fun of the fact that Barbie's so desperately trying to be inclusive after 60 years of going, like, no, we're only beautiful. Then they just went full stream ahead.
Yeah.
And I just think the people that are at the heads of all these companies are so disconnected to reality that it's hilarious the way that they just miss the mark every time. And it's like, with Down syndrome Barbie, it's like, I get it. If you want to give that to somebody that has it, though, I understand. Like, if a kid, like, it's not sad. It's just, if a kid wants to feel like they're worth something, fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, you see, like, the heads of these companies, though, that are like, for a while, they're like, so we'll have like, what do you like us? It's just going to keep going farther and farther. Yeah. Until they've just come full circle into it's a complete joke. But when they first hit it, it was like, so is it like a rapper like, it was just this like ghetto Barbie, and then they were trying to come up with names for it. So it's like, we'll call them Brats or hip hop Barbie. And it's like, we know what you're doing. Yeah. It's a bit racist Barbie.
Yeah.
And it's like
stereotyping Barbie.
Yeah, then you have like more white trash, low rent, like Valley version of the Barbie, and then like they just kept kind of like twisting it a little bit.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be a little more fun. Yeah, I'll just say that sketch will come out soon, but it'll be. I think you have to punch up, though, and I think a lot of people are missing the mark when they talk about these things.
Yeah.
Because when you just start going at the doll for Down syndrome, I'm like watching people, I'm like, dude, that's not where you hit. You got to hit up at the company that is blind to the fact that they're trying so desperately to pander to people by being like, we're so inclusive and different.
Yeah.
And we love everybody. That's why we have we have the Two Kens Can Marry collection. Because we thought of it ourselves, and we were in no way felt forced by a society to create this. This was an idea we thought of all on our own.
Well, Troy and I were talking about that, like all the Barbies, and there's one-legged Barbie, and there's fucking wheelchair Barbie, and hearing aids Barbie, like all this stuff. The Down syndrome one, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what they do here, because it's long been talked about on this very show that when you see someone with Down syndrome, the joke we would always make is like, I feel like I've seen that guy before. Like, there's a certain look to someone with Down syndrome. Now, I'm not. Yeah. I think Down syndrome people are the fucking. I say it all the time. They look happier than anyone. I love the community, but you know, if you're gonna try to pander to someone, you might as well make it look like the Barbie has Down syndrome. Then, I mean, if the idea is to give these kids a reflection of themselves,
you make a black Barbie, you make it black.
You make it black.
You get a one-legged Barbie, you give it one leg.
Don't go halfway. Yeah.
Oh, so you mean that it shouldn't look like a chubby sorority girl with leg braces?
Exactly. Gotcha. I've never said, and that's not the thing I think of when I think of Down syndrome. Is like, oh, they wear funny shoes. I didn't know that was a thing until Barbie told me that.
Well, I didn't realize that they all had leg braces either until I saw it, and I was like, did you just slap those on there at the last minute and be like, does that work?
They had to explain it in the articles, Dave. They had to go, well, you know, there's a lot of people with Downs who have to wear these special shoes. I was like, not a thing I knew.
Just to detract from the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Can you imagine the secret cameraless room that they had for the prototype faces?
Oh, my God.
Where they're like, guys, what are we doing? Can we just stop talking about this? They just have there's like autism. You shouldn't do this. I've just talked myself into doing the thing that I said you shouldn't do.
Yeah,
it comes with a trench coat and its dad's gun. There's no, it's absurd because it's like, yeah, there is a certain look, and it's sad because it's fine to have that then. Yeah, but then do it for real. Have some balls and do it. Then fine.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand, like, why if it's so brave, or just go, hey, here's a girl that it's just like you. Why not? But it's like the 132 gender thing and everything else now, where it's just a mishmash of nonsense, and we're all supposed to believe it. And I don't believe it, and I never will. It's like, no, I'll give you three. How's that? There's three genders. I'll give you three.
I don't even know what the three are. What are the three?
Penis, vagina, and the mishmash of whatever
both
you did to it,
and the rest.
And whatever's left of what happened.
It's so bad, man.
So whatever your surgeon didn't stop a heart attack that day because he was in surgery, fucking cutting a dick in half, just so God. You can shoot yourself in your garage.
I've gotten to the place where I'm like, I want to.
I'm gonna get in trouble for that, aren't I?
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Not here.
I want to lean into the trans thing. I want to lean.
Joke.
It's a joke. Relax, everybody.
It's a joke.
I want to lean in. My take on the trans thing is like, good, go, cut all their dicks off, pull all their titties out at 12. Who cares? Keep going, because the lawsuits are going to be coming. And until we get to the lawsuit phase, we're going to be stuck playing this game. So to me, all right, keep going.
My friend Johnny Lawsuit. He's going to be coming everywhere.
Yes. Don't you think that's going to... I mean, when you let a 12-year-old pick for themselves, you're going to end up in a spot... Like, the most that we had was regrettable tattoos, when we were 18 or something. We didn't have our dicks cut off. Like, that's the part... And I know that makes us QAnon, apparently.
I think you should speak for yourself. No, I agree. I think any decision that I made... I'm 40, and there's decisions I made 2 weeks ago where I'm like, Jesus Christ, if I only knew. No, I never made a good choice up until... I don't know if I've ever made that many good ones. My son was a good choice, but that was really rolling the dice.
It was just bad timing more than anything else.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it wasn't so much a choice as it just happened. Really, the choice was to keep him, and that was the discussion. But it was just... But, yeah, truthfully, it's... what's the purpose of letting anybody that age do anything? It's like, well, we wouldn't let you operate a motor vehicle, but, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
make this decision.
You can't ride a Vespa because you're going to hurt yourself, but... Yeah, why not? What the hey? Here's a bunch of hormones to add to all the new hormones you're getting.
Yeah, perfect. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? I was talking to my mom last night. She and my dad they're from California, and so they're out there half the year during the winter, and then they'll come back to Michigan. And so my mom was telling me yesterday about this hairstylist she goes to, this guy, and you'd be shocked at how many actual kind of more conservative people are in California.
Oh, no, I'm not surprised that actually now that I've played there, I sell out shows there no problem. Like, there are a lot of quiet conservatives.
Exactly. But this guy was saying that he's got a daughter who's about your son's age. And he said that his daughter's in class. And he tells my mom that, four of her classmates have recently come out as trans. I'm like, sure. Yeah. No, I get it. Let's put them on puberty blockers. What are we doing? Like, do you think maybe there's something in this that's making you think it's possible that 4 of these kids in one classroom are trans? Sure.
No, that's the problem is I'm looking at it like a fad, way too much TV, way too much chat, whatever it is. It's like, I don't like the idea that it's a fad. And I feel like somewhere there's like a 70-year-old trans guy. I knew this trans dude named Eric who became Erica about 21, 22 years ago. He used to hang out at the Comedy Castle. And it's like that was somebody who had a real battle with it. I remember she used to go to the bathroom in her car and, you know, it was really like in jugs and it was really hard for her. And she was a very, very sweet person. And I really felt for her. And that was somebody who I know really struggled with it. Sure. And that's why I find now it's a lot like any movement you see or anything else. That's what I worry about it because it's such a life-changing surgery. Plus, there's only one thing on your body that's really ever going to give you pleasure. Everything else you're going to really want to change.
Yeah.
You know, like why destroy the one thing that you're like, well, I can at least come. Yeah. You know, like that's the part that I really don't understand. I think it's dangerous, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm not saying that they don't exist either. I'm saying there are people that do have that. There are people that are going to be more comfortable and go through life better, and that's fine. Yeah. But the sheer number is insane, and it's obviously being taught to people, and that's the reality. And I stand by that. You can't just say we're all, you know, gender is fluid. We're all different things. We can all be whatever we want. It's like, what? I don't understand. What?
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense, and it sucks because that makes us apparently QAnon. You know what I mean?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm entitled to an opinion. This seems a little crazy to me. I will have people write me about us talking about this, going, "What are you so afraid of? What's the big deal?" So they got drag shows for. It's like no. I acknowledge the existence of these fine human beings. We have trans people that listen to this show. We've had them in studio, you know, but and even they're freaked out about how far this has gone. And if you can't have an honest discussion going, no. When you have a classroom of 12-year-olds and 4 of them claim to be trans, there might be some sort of peer pressure there that's helping facilitate this.
Well, it's also, when people say, like, you wouldn't bring your kid to a drag show, I'm like, well, I wouldn't bring my kid to see Cats either. I don't want to encourage this sort of behavior.
Yeah.
It's just not okay.
Do you think you'll do something trans related in the in normal world? Or are there topics that you're like, it's probably best if you pay me enough?
I don't know. It's definitely something that's been done. It would really depend on it. It's such a
more
it's
about
such
the angle, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just would depend on what the angle is. I mean, I thought the thing about the shooting recently, if we're being serious, was a bit extreme because so many people took this side of, well, now they're waging war, and you're like, no, they're not. That's not. If you want to just look at the series of shooters, I think that's an extreme problem in this country.
Yeah, for sure.
Then again, like how I really feel right now is we've never lived in a time where I felt that no one needs a gun, while at the exact same time everyone needs a gun all the time.
Right.
You know, like that's exactly like it's the strangest time to be living, where it's like you should always be armed all the time because no one else should be allowed to have them.
Yeah,
that's
it's a weird space to be.
Yeah,
it's a weird space to be. And as rare as it is, Dave, as rare as that is, I mean, I imagine parents are horrified. Parents that I know are horrified.
I'm horrified.
Yeah.
I can't go to a movie without checking for exits. I don't go to. I look around to Walmart, and maybe that's because I'm more, ingrained in the news. But I just see it. I'm horrified by it.
Yeah.
I mean, why is this happening? Why is this happening at the same time that people want to hurt their bodies? Why is this so common? And it's not. Yeah. There's got to be something more to it than there's 150 mass shootings this year. There's something more common going on. There's something happening that has to explain this. It's not just mental health, and I think it has to do maybe lockdowns. I think SSR. Like, I'm coming off of SSRIs right now.
What are those?
I was on Zoloft for a long time, antidepressants.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
And I started weaning myself off of them, and it's painful, man.
Really? Dave, I struggle with the same thing. I've been very open about, depression, stuff like that I've dealt with, and I'm interested in talking to you about it too for even just a minute. But I'm on a drug called venlafaxine, which is herpes. Yes, it's for if you've got advanced herpes and AIDS, it's the perfect drug for that.
It's a good balance.
It keeps things steady.
Keeps the white cells moving. I got you.
It makes my hand shake so much that I can't hold a gun to shoot myself in the head, and so that's kind of the point of it.
Right.
It's like a faux Parkinson's
to prevent suicide.
You can never get a hand straight. You just end up firing 6 rounds into the air.
Yeah, you should.
But I had a horrible conversation with my mom a few weeks ago. I had back surgery. And so she came to town and was helping me, for a few weeks as I went through that. I had run out of this drug, and I didn't even know about it. I'm on so many meds. I'm like, oh, whatever. And all of a sudden, I wanted to, Mom, where is a gun? Find me a gun so I can kill myself. Like that place. And I started hearing from people. I was like, oh, shit, I ran out of this venlafaxine drug. And then I had people reach out to me going, dude, be careful. This drug is a fucking nightmare to get off.
Yes.
And so I'm new to this world. I know Jordan Peterson went through this with maybe SSRIs. I don't know what he was on.
His was benzodiazepine. I don't know if he was on anything else, but his was Xanax, and that's a very difficult one because if you take Xanax, it's bad anyway. But if you take it way more than prescribed, like if you're taking 1.25 to 1 a day, it's bad anyway. Yeah. But if you're taking more than that, than prescribed for anxiety, it can be very, 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 very difficult.
And take a year or two to get off of, slowly weaning off of. Is that what you're dealing with now with whatever you said, Zoloft?
Yeah, it turned out I had a thing called. I was very depressed, and I was taking Zoloft. I've been taking it since 2015. When my mom passed, and it was years since I had ever dealt with stuff that didn't involve chemicals, and I went to a bunch, and they're like, you have severe depression, anxiety, this sort of stuff. So I started taking it, and I guess it helped, Yeah. I mean, I didn't put a gun in my mouth, so I guess it worked.
Yeah.
But I used it, but I just don't know if it really was working that well, and it kind of upped my dose in the last year and a half, and I guess I started taking it with migraine medication, and it caused something
Midol or something?
Yeah, it was no, sumatriptan, which is what I take for severe migraines. Like I have migraines that feel like there's an axe in my head.
Really?
And, oh yeah, I want to die.
Oh my God.
It feels like somebody took a fucking needle and jammed it into this side of my head. Like I've had them since I was a kid, and it is the worst feeling in the entire world. Dude, it's unbearable.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend that had that. It was awful.
Yeah, it's like Abe Lincoln's wife. I got a real lady brain for pain. So the right side of my head is just pounding. So I would take it with that. I didn't know that if you take that a lot, it can cause something called I believe it's called serotonin symptom or side effect or something, where my serotonin was being depleted at an insane level. So I was basically trying to do whatever to get my serotonin up, just without even realizing that my brain was essentially I was dying without even knowing it.
Wow.
And a doctor finally recognized this because I was self-inducing it. and it was fucking with my head really, really bad, and I had no idea that it was happening.
No kidding.
Until finally a doctor spotted it.
So if you're getting off that now, if you're trying to wean off that, what has that experience been like? You said it's really difficult.
It's really hard because it's I can be very irritable. I know that if I can act erratic or moody, I have to really check myself to see how I'm feeling. You know, if I feel overly depressed or, you know, overly excited or overly whatever it is, just a mood that seems too extreme.
Yeah.
Just it's bizarre because I kind of feel like I can be in a fog, or it's a bizarre feeling because it feels like my brain's realigning itself. Even like it's been really bizarre, man. It's been because I feel like I've taken something to not address what's been going on in my own personal life for a long time, and then especially the last, I'd say probably 5 years, I've kind of taken it because I've dealt with it. But really in the last 8, but the last 5 is really where I've dealt with major depression, where I've ignored it and seeked counseling. And like one guy in New York was just bad, and he'd try to give me everything, and I wouldn't take it because I know my dependency for drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
You mean a doctor in New York? A doctor in New York?
Yeah. It was this one dude who was like, "Do you want to just have the Xanax then?" And I was like, "No," because I would get extreme panic attacks. And he was this really old dude. And one time I was like, "Are you sleeping?" And like it was just he was like 90, and he's like, "What? No." He's like, "Do you want a benzodiazepine?" I'm like, "You're probably not the guy I should be saying."
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Are you here for drugs?"
What else can I get you, young sir?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know why you're talking. Everyone else just comes here for drugs. I give them the script and they leave.
Yeah.
But it was very I don't know, that was another thing that was mind numbing. And I haven't gone back to alcohol. I haven't gone back to stuff, but I know that like what I'm capable of, and I don't.
Did you have a lot of relapses early on when you were trying to get off, you know, drugs or alcohol?
No, not a lot. I did. I had a few though, and they were bangers.
Yeah. So, do you find it hard now? Like I looked at pictures of you at the Mothership, Rogan's Club down in Austin. It looks so great, but I know being around those people, like Joe talks about it regularly. Those guys go in there, they're drinking hardcore. Some guys are doing drugs, and that's kind of what the comic world is like. And most of them hit a wall eventually and have to clean things up. But you got out of that game at a pretty early age. Do you find it hard going on the road or being around some people you've probably looked up to for many years and they're offering you a drink or whatever? Do you find it hard to not do that or come close?
Not really. There's a lot of sobriety in it. You know, if you watch John Mulaney's new special, actually, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's very vulnerable and very pure and very much shows you how quickly you can get sucked into just going back into that whole cocaine, Xanax, Adderall world. There is enough sobriety in it. My issue has always been just doing this, talking to people. Even since I was a kid, it's always been nerve-wracking for me. And as I've gotten older, it's been better. But getting in front of a crowd was not a difficult thing. Talking to people one-on-one outside of a stage or outside of a mic is a difficult thing for me. Yeah, it always was. Like, I had no problem as a kid talking to people. But once I discovered alcohol, it was a wonderful lubricant for me to go out and be able to talk to people. But
Same
now
thing, buddy.
Back,
I get it. Yeah, that's how I was. Social situations would make me very uncomfortable. And a few drinks knocked that right out of you.
And then once I had that, it was like, I was like, oh, so just more of it every day. And then I can do it alone as well. And then, you know, and then I don't learn lessons and I have to fight. Like I have this demon inside of me that I fight. And I know that sounds dramatic to some people, but when I talk about, and I know I've talked about it ad nauseum on a lot of stuff, but it did take me 13 arrests and a lot of pain that I caused myself and others to actually stop and get sober. And then anything that I've ever tried has been dependent or a crutch on something. Yeah. So even walking away from the show that I'm on, for me, took a huge amount of balls because it was risk, and that's not something that I usually want to take. Yeah. And like even in this case, trying to get off this drug, I'm trying to not let something else activate my brain, regardless of if it's like, you should take this, it's for your own well-being. It's like, well, yeah, but it's not me being natural and me being myself. And obviously I've not allowed myself to be the person that I was born being. And if that changes where I feel like it's a danger, that's fine. But I need to really focus on who I am and fix my problems without just putting an 8-year Band-Aid on something.
Right.
Where I'm just taking a pill every morning and hoping that it goes away. I mean, it just feels dangerous. And I think that there is a strong connection between shootings and the rise of SSRIs. I think mental health, I think every brain is wired differently. And I think that the idea of one pill universally working the exact same for everybody's chemistry is extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah. Did you suffer? And we'll wrap up here in a minute, Dave, and let you get on it. I thank you for taking so much time today, honestly, man.
No worries. Yeah, we're gonna go tape a little bit later, so yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. Did you suffer at all from imposter syndrome growing up or professionally?
Well, I'm wearing a tracksuit, so no.
I think that's a common thing. You know, drugs have definitely helped people like me, or alcohol kind of deal with that, like help you feel like you fit in, or, you know, we're right on the cusp of everyone figuring out I don't belong here. And it kind of, you know, it's hard to take a stage. It's hard to jump on a microphone. It's hard to put yourself out there. And it's always way easier if you've got a baggie of this, or a pill like this, or a drink like that. You know, it's hard without that stuff.
Well, it was hard for me to fit in when I was young, because when I was a kid, I had my dad gave me like a Zenith camcorder, and all I did was make movies and videos and sketches and stuff. And, you know, everybody else who was like hanging out with my brother who played sports and stuff were like, you know, like, what's that homo doing? You know, where, you know, 20 years later it flipped where it's like, oh, I wish I would have just kept doing that and invented YouTube. But instead I was like, I'll put the camera down and like, hey guys, look, I'm doing drugs too. So yeah, like I completely had imposter syndrome because I cared more about fitting in than the things I actually enjoyed. I gave up everything that I enjoyed just to fit in for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've paid for that dearly. I paid for that with a lot of my health and mental well-being, because I wanted to fit in. And I'm 40 and I'm still paying for it.
Yeah.
And I still see a lot of people pay for it every day. You know, it's a difficult thing for people to have to deal with. And, you know, people have a much harder life, but realistically, you know.
Well, it's tough, man. It's, you know, I look up to you in a lot of ways for that, because I know how hard it is. And I'm really proud of the career you've carved out. You absolutely belong where you are. One of the funniest guys doing it today, Dave. Dave Landau, DaveLandau.com. You can find his tours, tickets. If there's a show you want to mention, I don't know, Dave, where you're going to be.
Let's see. You just go to DaveLandau.com. You can check me out. And then Normal World is going to be coming soon. You can subscribe to The Blaze, BlazeTV.com. And then we'll also have our own YouTube channel up just to put sketches on. And
We'll do another hour on your relationship with Glenn Beck. I'm fascinated by that. I think Glenn is an icon, legend.
Dude, I had never met him until I did that interview.
It was crazy. It was such a great interview.
Yeah, thank you, man. Good. Yeah, he's a really good interviewer. Yeah. I mean, obviously I knew that, but I had never met him until that day.
Yeah, super smart, super. You know, he's kind of apocalyptic at times, but. We'll talk about it more when we've got some more time. Thank you so much for the time, Dave Landau. I love it, man.
Thank you.
Look for Normal, of course. We'll have to get you back in here as soon as you're at home for a few days.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to.
Okay, buddy. Thank you so much, Dave.
Sir.
I appreciate it. All right, be good, man.
All right, man.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.
All right. The great, the one, the only Dave Landau.
Such a good dude.
Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, it's tough. There's things, you know, I'd love to get into it with him. Dave's just not a gossiper. Right. He's not a big shit talker kind of dude. And so I wanted to be mindful of that and not, you know, push him to shitting on Steven Crowder. There's a lot of people that love Steven. I think he does a very good job on his show.
For what it is, exactly.
He's very smart. But he's either been bullied his whole life and is now taking that out on people. But hopefully Crowder learns some lessons from this. He's a big guy. If you see him in person, he's a big, strong guy, and he's very smart, very fast. And there's no need he just doesn't need to be.
Nah, it's a deeper issue.
Yeah, it's a much deeper issue. And I don't know him enough to try and diagnose anything, nor do you. But, when you're a big guy like you, he's about your size. Mm-hmm. He's got to be 6'3", You guys can be intimidating.
Absolutely.
At times, You need to be able to keep that in check.
Hey, that's not my fault. You're intimidatable. I was born this way.
I don't belong, T. I just don't belong. I've got imposter syndrome.
Hey, the Party Pub. Hey, if you want to impress everyone at your grad party, wedding reception, poker night, MMA viewing party, or for any other reason, then you need to contact the Party Pub. It's a massive inflatable pub that can be set up wherever you choose. They also have all the best party games, beanbag toss, badminton, giant inflatable screens, axe throwing, and more. It's called Jeff El Jefe at 586-524-6701 or visit thepartypubrentals.com.
All right. Why don't we wrap it up there? We're not going to do any better than that, T.
No. That's perfect.
Thank you to Dave Landau. Please support him, everybody. I know you do. He's crushing it. He's killing it these days. So we'll call it there, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully y'all will join us then.